Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. This is me again, Dr. Sam, and this is EA300B. And what is it that we're doing today? We are doing The Other Side of Truth by Beverly Knight. So far, we have covered two picture books. We started off with the Little Peter Rabbit, and we ended Voices in the Park the other day. So today we're not likely to finish, of course, The Other Side of Truth today because it has lots of ideas and issues. And I assume that you haven't started reading it yet. So obviously finishing it today would be being unfair because I would like you to read it on your own and I don't want to spoil everything for you. Um, Again, it's The Other Side of Truth, everyone. We're going to set it against the previous two works. And here and today, it's a novel that we're having. It's not a picture book. And obviously, can I ask you to, yeah, Mariam? Mariam, can I ask you to mute your mic? So again, I was
Sorry,
talking,
doctor.
and that's fine. That's fine. I was talking about the difference between having a novel like The Other Side of Truth and a picture book. By now, we know what picture books are. We have done two of them. And of course, we're familiar with novels because we have done novels, and novels are mainstream. And the trajectory is very clear. You have like a beginning, you have a middle, and of course, there is um, some kind of end or a resolution of a sort. So the question is whether The Other Side of Truth is a traditional novel or not. And if I say that it is a traditional novel, is it traditional in its formal aspects or is it traditional in its themes and ideas? This is what we're going to address and talk about tonight and also tomorrow, inshallah. Before I proceed, I would like to ask you whether you have any level of familiarity with The Other Side of Truth. Have you heard of the novel? Have you done it? Have you read it before? Did somebody read it for you? Tell me. Any familiarity with The Other Side of Truth? Okay, Najwa?
I haven't like read it all of it, but I have started with the audiobook version because I couldn't find the written version of it. I obviously did not finish it yet, but I've gone through some summaries and like I somewhat have an overview of the main idea of the story.
You mean that you have like an audio version of the book?
There were some parts found in YouTube. I tried searching for the novel, but I couldn't
Okay.
find it.
Mm.
So I could read it. So I searched on YouTube and I found a small part, not the entire audiobook. So I started with it, but I couldn't finish it yet. Like there are
Okay.
still other parts that I need to search for.
Yeah, well, I think I have the book and I'll share it with you, inshallah.
Yes, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, doctor.
Inshallah. You're welcome. Okay, any other yeah, Mariam?
Yes, doctor. I didn't know much about it, but I know it's for adult, not for children, right? That's what I know about.
Well, it's for both. I mean,
Mm.
like I said, um, you to safely say that I mean a novel or a picture book addresses and targets one kind of audience is not very uh, kind of it's not safe. I mean, because it can be a picture book, but it can address people from different age groups. And this is what we have seen with the Tale of Peter Rabbit and then even with Voices in the Park, where obviously the meaning and the interpretation is up for grabs. So it's what you yourself bring to the novel or the picture book, not what the novel or the picture book projects. So to say that it is addressing exclusively adults is not very accurate. So it can
Yes.
cater to the needs of both. And this is what we're going to realize when we talk about it, inshallah.
Yes,
Can I
doctor, but
ask
I
you?
think it's I think it's from the title of the book. It's talk about truth or truth as something. Yeah, it's not noun or searching about the truth because I didn't know much about the story. But
You
from the
don't know.
title,
You
we can
don't.
expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're using the past. Why don't you, I don't know. Why would you say I didn't know? I mean, I want you to say I don't know, not I didn't know. This
Yes,
is
I
my
don't
only
know.
issue.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
okay. You will know soon enough. We'll talk about all those issues, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Um, any other thoughts? Any other insights into the other side of truth? Okay. So again, it's the other side of truth that we're doing. And again, typically we said that we need to set the novel or the picture book in context. You cannot separate the work from its surroundings, cultural, socioeconomic, political, yeah. So you need to do some research and get to know more about the period and the time and the locale in which the novel was written. And this is what we're going to also do tonight. So again, the other side of truth is a novel. Again, how much of it is mainstream and how much of it is kind of different, not conforming to the traditions of novel writing. These are concerns and that we're going to talk about and address. So typically, if we say that it is a novel, so the word novel would invoke, ideas about characterization, about characters, about plot, about themes and ideas, about setting, time and place, about point of view. And because it's a novel, all of these things apply. Those things are there in the novel because it's a novel. Again, it's a full-fledged novel with typical features and characteristics. But again, you need to remember that it was written in 2000, I think. And for something to be written in 2000, it means that it is also postmodern. So it's a postmodern piece of work, but is it postmodern in those senses that we engaged with when we spoke about voices in the park? The answer and the short answer is no. Yes, the short answer, no. Let me close the door. Let's hear noise. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So again, uh, I am talking about whether the other side of truth is postmodern in its form or in its content. You will notice that the form is typical. It's like any other mainstream novel with clear introduction, clear development, and a conclusion or a closure at the end. So this is a typical traditional novel. What is not typical and what is not traditional is the themes and the ideas that the novel engages and addresses. When we talk about immigration, obviously immigration is a new thing. I mean, concerns about immigration and the toll, negative as it is, that this immigration has on people, whether they will be well received in the host country, what kind of attitudes they have to accommodate. So obviously, the issue of immigration, as we know it, is postmodern. It's not something that we have engaged in the 50s or in the 40s and stuff like that. When we talk about parenting and how parents deal with their kids and what they teach them and what they don't, obviously this is also quite new because in the past the idea of raising children wasn't much. I mean, it was instinctive. You are a parent, you have your way of doing stuff, and you don't normally share that with other people because everybody has his own style when it comes to their children. Some people are very flexible because they don't want to alienate their kids and they want them to be open to the world. They don't want to create any psychological traumas and problems for them. And some other people are very strict. They believe that children should learn right from the very start the difference between what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate and what is not. And they sometimes take it to extremes. They do it in extreme ways, and obviously they end up alienating their kids. So what I'm trying to say is that this idea of parenting and how people raise their kids is obviously new. I mean, I'm talking about the awareness is new. So that would make it postmodern. Um, Engaging kids in big questions about moral ambiguity and dilemmas about what is right and wrong. Obviously, this is also new. I mean, children in big issues, making them reflect on their small experiences and getting to know about the world and being left out in the world, having to fend for themselves, obviously, is new. So, what is postmodern about the other side of truth uh, uh, or lies in its themes and ideas, but the form is the same. It's mainstream, it's conventional, clear introduction, clear development and also a closure. So this is what we're talking about today, inshallah. We'll talk about these different aspects and going to break the novel down to its basic components. Somebody's raising her hand. Faye, I think.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I read the plot summary of the novel, and I noticed that there is significant themes like
Mm,
refugees, clash of cultures, freedom of speech, discriminations, and human rights, yeah, and so on. It's important themes.
yeah, they are, yes. Okay, طيب, drop your hand if you finished. So again, like Faye is saying, yeah, among the new ideas that the novel engages would be ideas like freedom of speech and how much we're given this freedom. Journalism, talking about journalism and talking about fearless journalism, exposing corruption. And obviously, these are, ideas that we haven't dealt with in mainstream literature for so long. Mainstream literature tends to sentimentalize things, but obviously, what we're having here is realism, realistic issues and themes, and this is also a feature of the modern and the postmodern times. Okay, طيب. So it's the other side of truth, and um, it's Beverly Naidoo, the writer, the novelist, and it's the postmodern times that we're talking about because it was written in 2000. Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes. What I want you to do in these 5 minutes, I would like you to go to the internet, or if you have like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI model you're using, I would like you to ask about that plot, the plot of Beverly Naidoo's The Other Side of Truth. But I would like you to ask the IA agent or tool that you're using to be short and sweet so that it cannot take more than 5 minutes. The reason why I'm asking you for that, because I don't want to talk about the novel and you have no clue what the novel is about or what it talks about, okay? So now I'll give you 5 minutes. Go and use any AI tool and come up with the plot. Read the plot and come back in 5 minutes. I'm not leaving. I'm staying. Yalla, go ahead. If you have understood what I'm saying, raise your hand. Okay, good. So again, we need the plot of the other side of truth. Do I need it? No, I don't need it. I would like you to go and read it using any AI tool. Uh, um, I mean, you have at your disposal. Yalla, I'll wait for 5 minutes. Okay. If you're done, raise your hand. Okay. Okay. طيب. I would like you to tell me what AI tool you have used. Okay. يلا. Nabwa, did you use any AI tool?
Yes, I used ChatGPT.
Okay. Nice. Fawzia, how about you?
Yes, ChatGPT also.
Okay. Yazan?
Doctor, I've used Grok AI.
Okay. Nice. Mariam?
ChatGPT also.
Okay. طيب. طيب, let's go all the way back to Nakwa. Do you think in using the same platform and the same tool would yield the same results? What do you think?
I have actually read about it, and I have some relatives who work in the field of AI and stuff.
No,
Uh,
what I'm asking a very
yeah, yeah, I know.
clear
I'm
question.
just coming to it that the way you phrase what you want to the AI would give you different results. Like it
Yeah,
might
it
give similar
depends.
answers,
It depends
but
on the
not in one
prompt.
place. Yeah,
If
exactly. Basically, yes.
right, if
So
we
the
have
more you give
different
information,
prompts, it's the same material that we're looking for. But if we're using different prompts, obviously the results are going to be different, right?
yeah.
Okay, طيب. Yeah, let's start with Nagwa. Tell us what you have found. Remember, we're talking about the plot.
Yes, from what I found is that the story begins in Nigeria, and it talks about mainly the protagonist is a small girl and her brother and their journey from Nigeria to Britain, and that was caused because of like their mother was killed and their father is like a journalist who like is in some way criticizing the Nigerian government. So in order to protect his children, he sends them to Britain and for a safer life. But then they face some struggles. They're abandoned. They go into foster care. Their father then joins them, and he is sent to prison. And then the girl faces she decides to like speak about this matter, to go into contact with the journalists and other people to spread the word about her father and the case until they eventually release the father from prison.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting the plot. Okay, Fawzia?
Uh, Talk about the freedom and about the people after they go in another country, what the struggle for the girl Sadi and her brother Femi, and if you cannot say the truth because to be in the safe or for your safety for your family. I think between the truth and the freedom they feel struggle in their life. That's why I think the
Hmm.
plot
Obviously, this is not the plot. This is a reflection on the plot. This is
after their
that's fine.
mother
This is what you
die.
are. Yes. When I ask you about the plot, you give me the storyline. You tell me a story. What you're saying is you are reflecting on the plot and the themes and the ideas that people can come away with, which is fine. Thank you so much, Chef Jose.
Thank you.
Mariam?
Yes, doctor.
Hmm.
The story tells about Said and her younger brother Femi, who are forced to flee Nigeria after their mother is killed. Their father, a journalist, and speaks against the government and sends them to the both kids to London to stay safe in England. They face many challenges as a uh,
Refugees.
refugees and hiding their true identity while they live there and finding a place to live, trying to bring their father to safety with them. The story shows their bravery and the importance of truth and freedom. That's what
Okay.
AI tell me.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Thank you so much. Yazan?
Yes, doctor. Other side of truth is a story about two children, which are from Nigeria. They are siblings. They flee from their home after their mother is murdered, targeting by a political attack targeting their father, and who's telling or who's speaking against the corrupt military is a journalist called Florin Solaja. They flee into London. They faced bullying, racism, and also fear for their father's safety. Later on, their father arrives in England illegally and arrested, facing deportation. At the end, their father is released and the family is reunited. Also, the other side of truth includes four themes: the power of truth and free speech, refugee struggles, courage in the face of injustice, and family and resilience.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Yazan.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, so these are very beautiful insights about the other side of truth. Obviously, the plot is owes a lot to the title of the novel, The Other Side of Truth. Let's start by unpacking. Now that we know a bit about the story and the plot and the storyline, let's reflect on the title. The title is The Other Side of Truth. Whatever um, happens in that novel that would live up to the title. You know, we spoke about that before. We said that titles are not chosen randomly. If I choose a title as an author, I mean it. It has to kind of be reflective of what happens in the novel. So I'll give you perhaps less than a minute to reflect on the title, The Other Side of Truth, and perhaps kind of tie it to the plot and what unfolded in the novel, and tell me what you think the title means and signifies. I'll give you a minute for that. The Other Side of Truth.
Sorry, doctor, what the question? Can you repeat it, please?
We're reflecting on the title. We're trying to come up with as many ideas as we possibly can about what the title means, given what we know about the plot, given what we know what happened in the novel. And I'm giving you less than a minute to reflect and come back to me with the significance of the title. And like I said, titles are very significant and they are not chosen haphazardly or randomly.
Okay, thank you.
So, The Other Side of Truth. This is the title. Okay, Mariam? Nagwa?
Yes, there are multiple factors or multiple interpretations of the title that could be said. One of them is that it can reflect the consequences of speaking out. You can see that through the like what happens to the father of Sadie and Femi. Like he tries to speak the truth, and he is a journalist, and then the result of that is like un, like not happy, or like there are consequences of him speaking out. And it can also resemble the dangers or the hidden truths or the hidden reality that are the result of truth telling, such as danger, which can also be reflected from Femi and Edie's father. Like his truth telling results in his children's exile, his exile, danger, the loss of the mother. And it can also show how children can have different perspectives, and how the truth can be like different from according to which side is telling it.
You mean who can have what? It depends on your perspective. Truth is
Yes,
not
who's narrating?
absolute. It's not
Yeah,
absolute.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Doctor, may I? Doctor?
okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's mean the truth is not always apparent. In some situation, it would be hidden sometimes, especially if it was related with the political matters, and when there is not we don't have the ability to reveal it, I would destroy it.
Okay, thank you. Mariam?
Yes, doctor. I agree with Maha, and I think that the truth that while you not feeling in a freedom country and stand with what it is right, and the hard life while you faces when you leave a home and country to live in another country. This is a bad or hard يعني to يعني it's hard, not easy to leave home and go to another country. You will face a lot of challenge, a lot of cultural differences. But the truth in the title, it's hidden, as what Maha said. It's not always the truth that we are يعني here. There's another truth يعني behind it.
Okay, thank you. Yazan?
Yes, doctor. The other side of truth reflects the complexity and truth, and how can it be powerful and dangerous. And it also challenge us or tell us when truth must be told, and when silence must be necessary to protect those we love.
Okay. Fai?
Yes, doctor. The truth telling should be for the right person and in the right place. And sometimes lies can save the person, not always the truth.
Hmm. So it's very complicated. The other side of truth, again, when you think of the title, think deep about the title, you can come up with so many ideas if you connect that to whatever we have seen. So obviously, the novel is about truth telling or the lack thereof, right? And when you should go ahead and tell the truth, and when you should withhold the truth, because there are moments in the novel where it is safer and wiser not to tell the truth. Okay, so again, you may consider this not telling the truth if you're kind of withholding it for good reasons in the interest of the people involved, but this is hiding it according to some other people. Hence the idea of moral ambiguity. So moral ambiguity is at the heart of this novel. Whatever I mean by moral ambiguity. Moral ambiguity is this kind of dilemma, this kind of uh, fix that some people have. You don't know whether telling the truth is good, and you don't know whether withholding it is also good. Because again, there are situations where it is safer and much wiser to keep the truth, not to tell the truth. Again, perhaps it's, I don't know, I don't want to go as far as saying that the end justifies the means, because this would be very Machiavellian, I know. Again, but what we have learned in the modern times is that there are moments and situations where you have to be economical with the truth. Economical with the truth means that you don't give the truth, straight out. You have to maneuver. Again, you maneuver not because you are manipulative by nature, but because the situation necessitates it. So the other side of truth. So truth is absolute, we know, when it comes to morals, when it comes to principles. But again, the novel shows us that there are situations where you have to perhaps strategically lie. Of course, lying is bad um, يعني, at all um, times and on all levels. But again, if the well-being um, and the life of people are on the line, and you can save them by withholding the truth, so be it, do it. Um, Again, so what kind of truth are we talking about? We're saying the other side of truth, which means sometimes people confuse truth for propaganda. And obviously, these are two different things. Truth is truth, while propaganda may masquerade or disguise as truth, but it is not. And since we're talking about institutions and we're talking about government, government sometimes gives or give you the feeling that they are telling the truth, when in actual fact they are not. They have all of them propaganda machines that work 24/7 to give you the feel of truth when truth does not exist. So these are issues that the novel grapples and straddles and talks about. So it's the other side of truth that we're talking about, and if it's truth that we're talking about, there is going to be talk about honesty or the lack thereof. There's going to be talk about who addresses those issues of truth. On the personal level, you are invited and encouraged to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. You can also tell the truth and expose the lack of truth and transparency if you work as a journalist. Working as a journalist with attitudes of fearless reporting, you can also expose those who do not tell the truth. So the truth can save sometimes, and not telling the truth can also save. So again, these are issues that we're going to grapple with. Okay, we're saying that this is a novel and it's traditional in its plot, characterization, point of view. But let's break those features down to their basic components. I would like you to tell me who the characters are, and then we have already spoken about the plot, and then we move to the setting, the time and the place, and then we move to the point of view. So let's talk about the characters. So if it's a novel, so it has to have characters populating the novel. So can somebody come to the mic and tell us who the characters are?
Me, doctor.
إهداء.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, you raise
Uh,
your hand.
the main character, Shade,
Mm,
she is strong and she take care of her brother and
mm.
protect him. She doesn't tell the truth to protect her father. Also, she suffering a lot in bullying in school.
Bullying, you mean there is bullying and she suffers يعني based on that, right? طيب.
Yes,
Let's
doctor.
move to Yazan. Let's talk about the characters again, Yazan, who the characters are. Obviously, it's not only Shade and her brother that we have. We have her father and mother. We have other people in Nigeria, back in Nigeria, and also in England. Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
doctor. We have a Shade and Femi Solaja, the siblings,
Mhm.
and their father, who is the journalist,
Mm,
which Valerian Solaja, and also their
mm,
uncle,
mm.
and Mrs. Bunkley, the smuggler.
Yeah, okay. Nagwa?
Yes, it's the same the characters that my previous classmates mentioned. We also have Mrs. Solaja at the beginning who died. We have the uncle and aunt who were supposed to take care of Said and Femi. We also have additional characters, Mrs. Graham, who is the supportive teacher for Sadie, and who encourages Sadie to speak up and who plays a key role in developing the children's characters. Um, yeah, we have some other characters who are not who don't play a main role, like
Mm.
Said's friend Jenny, the human rights activist Mr. Nathan, who is a journalist and also helps in spreading the word about Said's father's imprisonment.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So this is as far as the characters are concerned. Remember what we said about characters. Characters can be dynamic or static. Dynamic means they have a capacity for change. The characters that you meet at the beginning are totally different from those um, that you meet at the end. I mean, they look the same, but obviously they now are different if they are dynamic because they learn a lesson or two, and towards the end you see them mature, even if their age doesn't tell you that they have matured yet. They have matured intellectually and emotionally. So, who do you think is a dynamic character, and who do you think is static, never changes? Mm.
Yes, doctor. Can I
I
answer,
think
please?
Yeah,
Shade.
yeah, go ahead.
The two siblings are the static, which are the main characters. Uh,
Static is they don't change. Do you think at the end Shade remained the same? Didn't she learn one
oh
thing
no,
or
no.
two?
Oh, so it's dynamic. Sorry. Uh, she changes at the end of the novel, and she speaks and tell also their like she's been brave also, doctor. At the end
Mm,
of the
mm.
novel.
Yeah, okay. Okay, somebody else?
I think the dynamic character is Shade
Mm.
because she changed. In the first novel, she lie and scare. In the story, she tell the truth in the all the media, and she doesn't scare.
She's not scared. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
at the beginning of the novel, she is your typical child, a child that you're likely to meet wherever you go. Yani, typical of children, they are weak. They don't have a sense of responsibility because they are young. Somebody else is responsible for them. Over time, they change. And if they change, it means that they, kind of develop maturity and wisdom. And this is exactly what happened with Shade, especially. She changed. Um, and one vivid example of this change was how she looked at the idea of lying and not telling the truth. Obviously, she had a hard time convincing herself that not telling the truth is the best policy, given the fact that her father's life was on the line. Um, so she changed because she knew that she shouldn't be that rigid and strict when it comes to moral standards because a lot is at stake. Um, so this would she changed towards the end, and obviously this is the change that we normally associate with dynamic characters. Think of her child. I think I mean not child. But think of her brother. I don't think he changed, right? Um, and the other characters are almost the same. They don't. They are types. They represent certain things. Look at the father. I don't believe that the father has changed. He is rigid in his assessment of situations. He doesn't bend. He doesn't accommodate himself to circumstances. And again, the idea of going after the environment and trying to expose it. Obviously, if it's about corruption, nobody would say no. That this is a good thing to expose corruption, but when and how? This is our issue with the father. The father is a journalist, and he doesn't really care about whether he dies in the process or not. He's not very strategic. He is not, uh, he doesn't know when and how to say things when it comes to truth telling and the exposure or the exposing of corruption. A very telling example of how stable and unchanged he is would be the fact that um his wife has to suffer from him telling the truth because she was targeted by the government, and the next thing you know is that she was assassinated and killed. Again, did he change after that? No, he didn't. He is adamant about telling the truth no matter how. So in this case, he is a type or he is a static character. So other characters are there, but they are types. I mean, some of them are helpful, some of them are supportive, and some others are standing in the way. Um, so these are the characters. Let's talk about the point of view and let's see from which angle of vision the narrative is given, because it's a narrative, mind you, right? So what kind of narrative is it? Is it first person narrative or third person narrative? And is it omniscient where the narrator tells everything, or limited omniscient perhaps? So what do you think? What kind of voice do we have? What kind of narrative do we have?
It's third person.
Yes, it is third person where we have a he, she, they, right? And obviously this would create a distance between us and the characters, and this is good. Okay, so it's not autobiographical, it's not biographical where the character would use I and we, right? Good. Um, let's take like a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we continue. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're back. If you guys are back, raise your hands. Okay, ممتاز. طيب, it's all about the other side of truth. Very interesting piece of work. A classic in its own time when it first appeared, and again it got awarded a number of accolades and a number of prizes. How much do we know about the author? So, but before we proceed, and this is going to be very significant, we spoke about the different elements, we spoke about the characters and whether they are dynamic or static, we spoke about the plot, and you guys gave the plot. Spoke about the title too, and we tried to kind of unpack it. Now let's talk about the setting. And it's going to be in one way or another tied and connected to the the author and the writer. Let's not talk about the author yet. Let's focus now on the setting. And of course, you know, the setting is a very important feature of any novel. So what do I mean by setting, and what is the setting in the other side of truth? Raise your hand.
Doctor, could you please repeat the question?
Sorry. I'm talking about the setting of the other side of truth. What is the setting in the other side of truth?
The events start in Nigeria and then they shift to London in Britain.
Well, which means that we have two places, right? Not only one place, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and obviously the shift means a lot. You don't just move from one place to another for no obvious reasons. Yeah, there should be good reasons why people move from one section of town or one section of the world to another, one area, one part of the world to another, right? And again, there is always, whenever there are different parts and different places, people normally kind of compare and contrast between the places, right? And I vividly remember Othello, for example, where there was this shift from Venice to Cyprus. And of course, you know what happened to Cyprus. Again, the shift was very significant. And here also we have a shift. The events start off in Nigeria, but they don't stop there, right? So people move from Nigeria to London and to England. Again, there were assumptions and expectations, and again, whether London lives to those expectations or not, this is a question that we need to find answers to as we proceed. To say that the setting is exclusively about places is obviously not very accurate because setting is also about the time. Okay. And again, the time, it seems, it's not specified, but you can tell if the novel was written in 2000, you can tell that the time is in and around that period. Okay. Which again makes it a postmodern piece of work, again, with whatever that invokes, of course. Um, the setting is very important also in the sense that if you know that the novel is predominantly Nigerian and about Nigerian characters, you would find it strange that the writer of the novel is not Nigerian herself. she is South African. And what is more is that she is white South African, not a black South. And you know, طبعا, of course, that South Africa is predominantly black. It's a black country. So to have a white South African talking about the dilemmas and the struggles and the issues of uh, black individuals is obviously a good thing. And this is what Naidu is doing, and this is what Nadine Gordimer, another white South African, did. She also um, spoke about the plights and the dilemmas of Africans under the apartheid regime of South Africa. So again, it's very significant. It's very interesting that the writer is South African. Again, interesting and significant because she's not writing about South Africa. She is writing about Nigeria. And she's writing about the plight of Black Nigerians fleeing their home back in Nigeria and going all the way to England. They were obviously, and their family were also under the impression that it's all honey and milk over there in England. England is the beacon of democracy, freedom of expression. It's a sanctuary and a place where they can uh, feel safe. Again, when they go there, I mean, obviously, England didn't live up to their expectations. England is what they thought it is. They had to go through hardships, trials, and tribulations, navigating the complexity of the refugee system in England, having to prove this and that, having to fend for themselves, and while still very young. The system is obviously very inhumane. The system does not discriminate between children and adults. The system, the English system, or the English refugee system does not appreciate the fact that they are only kids. Whatever the system requires of old people shouldn't apply to young children, right? So these are issues that Naidu is grappling with and is addressing again, and she is the white South African, again talking about um, Nigerian people. So does this tell us something about Naidu? And yes, it does tell us a great deal. When we get to know more about Naidu, we know that, I mean, from her biography, of course, that she was a political activist in Nigeria. Back in the day, she was politically active. She was defending the rights of the black majority in South Africa, and that landed her in prison a number of times. And when they were kind of, I mean, the authorities, the white authorities were so fed up with what she does, they asked her to leave and go in exile. And she chose to go to England, and this is where she now lives. So she was a political activist, and she was acting against the white regime in South Africa. Again, she lived most of her life now in England, talking about children and their plights, wherever they are, about the oppressed, wherever they are. Um, So this is Naidu that we're talking about. She has a record as a political activist, as somebody who stands for the rights of the oppressed, whether these are children, whether these are women. Um, and this is, of course, very nice. Um, Let me show you the ideas and the files that we're going to tackle and address. So this is what we're talking about. There is going to be um, times where we're going to talk about the writer's journey. And obviously we're going to talk about the writer herself, Naidu, and her journey. Her journey means how she started doing what she's doing, and there is a bit of biography about herself and how she she comes from a white family that originated in Europe, and that her family migrated to South Africa back in the day. And she became, of course, over the time, and her family South African, and of course they started to live South Africa. Now she is advocating for the rights of blacks. We're going to have time to also give or shed some light on um, the background of the time, what was happening in Nigeria, the backdrop against which most of the events happened, especially talking about the military regime that was governing the country, and what kind of absolutism it was exercising on people. There was no freedom of expression. Then there was, corruption, exploitation, and everything. And then there will come a time where we're going to talk about Naidu's agenda. What is it that she wants to achieve by writing novels? And she is going to be talking about instruction and delight. This is what she thinks literature should be about. It should delight, it is true, and it should also instruct or give lessons. Again, the biggest lesson and the biggest takeaway, as you're going to see, will be that her young readers, her young white, blue, and green-eyed European readers should realize that they don't live alone in this world, that there are other people from other countries who are entitled to live also a happy life, and those white young Europeans should realize that again there are other countries and continents where people don't have access to fresh water or food, the basics, and they don't have the bare minimum. They should get out of their bubble and their life of privilege and appreciate the life of others. They should show empathy towards other nationalities and other ethnicities. So again, this is all done and created in a delightful way through a story that is engaging and interesting. Um, so while talking about the other side of truth, there is going to be time where we shed some light on media or the media and what role it plays. And there will be time where we have to distinguish between the media telling the truth and the media giving propaganda. We're going to kind of think deeply about the role of media and what functions does it play in society. Does it inform? Yes, it does inform. Does it, stand behind people? Does it defend the rights of people? Yes, absolutely. It should. Should the role of the of media be spreading propaganda and standing beside and in support of dictatorial regimes? Absolutely not. So these are issues that we're going to talk about again because the novel grapples with those ideas and issues. Again, a very important theme that we're going to address would be the role of adults, and especially parents towards their kids and how they um, treat their kids and what kind of teaching they give and whether there is flexibility in this kind of teaching and education or not, and whether they make of their kids, good, sensible, reliable individuals or not. This is also very important. And again, we'll move on and talk about the moral responsibility of societies towards children. This is perhaps new because children have always been taken for granted. Nobody listens to them. They are treated as a subspecies sometimes. Their opinions, if listened to, are not appreciated and stuff like that. Perhaps the novel is saying enough is enough. Children are not stupid, they are capable human beings, and they can, if put in situations, they can come out and emerge victorious using their minds, taking matters into their own hands. And this is what we call child agency, another very hot topic that we're going to address ourselves to. So children will be put in a corner in the novel and they will have to fend for themselves, and take matters into their own hands, as we are going to see. So these are some of the issues that we're going to talk about as we proceed. So it's the other side of truth, everyone, and it's Beverly Naidu that we are reading for this time around. So the other side of truth was published in 2000. Again, we're talking about a novel that kind of won a number of prestigious accolades and prizes like the Carnegie Medal. Um, Again, we also have critics referring to this momentous event, saying that this is the first time in 64 years that a book with African characters had taken the prize. This is Naidu reflecting on the prize in her own words and on her own official site. So how much do we know about Beverly Naidu? We know that she was born in 1943 and that she grew up under apartheid, the apartheid in South Africa. But you know what apartheid is? Apartheid is this system of segregation. It's not exclusive to South Africa. This is something that we see now in occupied Palestine, where you have segregation. Normally, you have blacks in one place and whites in another place, and of course, whites are given all the privileges and they have access to everything, and the Africans, the black Africans, have no access to nothing. They are not in government. They are not part of the parliament. Their movement is restricted. This was the system of government in South Africa until Nelson Mandela came over. Um, so what do we know about Naidu? As a young girl, Beverly Naidu began to question the superiority of white people. Remember, she is white herself, and this is quite daring. When she was 21 year old, she was arrested for her activism in the resistance movement. And these are the major themes that we're going to talk about and address in the other side of truth: political oppression, freedom of speech, truth telling, asylum seeking, home and exile, formal and informal education, the role of the media, resistance and political activism, child agency, moral absolutism, and moral ambiguity. Again, it's very rich if we have all these ideas and themes, and I think that would automatically tell us that we are in for a very deep and a very profound novel. Again, the first thing that strikes our eyes and that would, you know, kind of alert us to what we are in for would be the idea of truth telling, given the title. The title is The Other Side of Truth. So there is going to be a great deal of talk about truth telling. Um, so again, from what angle of vision would Naidu tackle this? This is actually what we are going to discuss. We're talking here about absolute rules of behavior. Should we stick to those absolute rules of behavior, or there comes a time where you have to bend to the wind? You have to kind of flout rules and go against them for a higher and a nobler purpose, of course. So widely accepted principles such as always telling the truth, remaining honest, and showing kindness and respect to the old were now challenged by a number of writers who were keen to point out that defining moral behavior could sometimes be a far more complex business than the mere following of absolute rules. So again, it's about it's not about theory, it's about being in certain circumstances that would require you to behave perhaps against your nature, again for a nobler cause. Again, if we in the absolute say that honesty is the best policy, and if in absolute terms we say that telling the truth saves, we are going to see that in certain situations, not telling the truth is um, even safer or far more safer, perhaps. Not telling the truth can save lives. Again, we're not saying or no, we're not promoting dishonesty, of course, here, but what we're saying is that sometimes situations require that you bend the rules, that you don't be absolute in your judgments and assessments of situations. So these are things that we're going to discuss in the other side of truth. And here is a situation from the novel where you have Mama Ateya talking to the girl Shade, who was being very harsh on herself for not telling the truth. So the Mama Apia, who is obviously bigger, older, and perhaps much wiser, is telling Shade to take it easy on herself. Don't blame yourself, said Mama Apia quietly. Sometimes people do not tell the truth because they are so desperate. I'm sure that is what happened with you too, and I'm very sure with your father. So she's trying to tell her, I'm not judging you. If you haven't told the truth, there should have been, very good reasons for not you for you not to tell that. Again, you would ask, what was the lie about, and who did the lying, and why, and for what purpose? So before you judge, you need to know all the details. And another example that also revolves around this idea of truth telling would be this kind of conversation between the two brothers, Florin, the father of Shade, and the boy, and his brother, Tandil. Look, Florin, we all know how brave you are, braver than most of us. But are you wise? You say our country must have writers to tell the truth. But tell me, what can you write? What can you write from the grave? For goodness sake, Florin, look at what they have done to Ken. The whole world was shouting, Saru, we will must not hang. But did His Excellency Commander in Chief General Abachi and his soldiers care? So again, obviously, this is a moment of truth where the brother is telling his journalist brother there is obviously nothing wrong with exposing corruption and exposing those who are not telling the truth. But you need to know when and how. And obviously, you won't be able to tell the truth anymore if you are killed. You cannot tell the truth from the grave. You cannot fight corruption from the grave. So take it easy on yourself, and you need to know how to win your battles. You need to know how to defeat your enemies. You need to choose the right time and the right place. Again, from whatever we know about Florin, the father of Shade, and the boy, you're going to realize that he is an investigative journalist, and because of his activism, his wife uh, um, got assassinated and killed. Again, nobody is blaming him for telling the truth, for exposing corruption. But again, what people are blaming him for would be the idea that he's not wise enough. He can be brave, but not wise. Wise and wisdom is about choosing when and how you can expose the truth. And then there is going to talk about England, and when the two children go to England and they go to school and they become bullied, and how this microcosm is reflecting a bigger macrocosm that we'll talk about, whether we're talking about Nigeria or England or the world. Um, Again, I don't want to spoil it for you. There is going to be a great deal of talk about Jade, the main character, the girl, and the internal conflicts that she's going to go through again because she was brought up in a certain way, but the reality is different. She is left to fend for her own self and for her brother. Obviously, she was not equipped to do that, but somehow she will adjust and accommodate herself, and she will become a better version of herself fending for her own son. And that would all go under child agency. Again, we will have as a background the story of Ken Saru Wiwu, who is he was a political activist who was opposed to the regime in the military regime in Nigeria, but he was hanged at the end. Again, we also said that there is going to be a great deal of talk about the media and what role it plays and what functions it um it has in society and whether media is honest or it's mere propaganda. Again, one of the major themes that we will have would be the idea of England and people's expectations. People who come from outside England, they come with expectation. They have high hopes and great expectations. They believe that England is the haven to which they flee from hell in their own countries. So whether this applies to what happens with Shade and Miriam or not, this is a question that we will answer as we proceed. Again, how Muslims are presented, how the Muslim family is presented in the novel. Again, if that shows anything, shows how Naidu is trying to foster awareness of the other in the book. Again, there is going to be a great deal of home and what exactly we mean by home. Home is it the place where we were born, or is it the place that we have opportunities and freedom of expression and speech? And so we'll talk about that when the time is right. Again, I think I will stop in order not to kind of spoil it for you, and we will continue tomorrow, inshallah. But I think I have time for questions if you have any. No questions? Okay. Okay. Fine.
Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
In this novel, what shall we focus on it? Because until now we not finished it yet, right?
Yes.
طب while we revision this class, what's the main focus, main point to focus in?
Well, let's finish it first, and then we talk about what to focus on. We'll have to finish it first.
Okay.
Can you answer me? You ask me this question perhaps tomorrow after we finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Nagwa?
Take care.
Welcome. Nagwa?
Doctor, may you please send the files for Voices in the Park? Because I couldn't find the material related to it in the book. So I'm a bit like I reviewed the recordings and I have the knowledge from the recordings, but I only found one file from LMS that was a Word document. So if you have any files so we can study from for the midterm, can you please send them on the WhatsApp
Okay.
group or anywhere, please?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome. Who else? Yeah, go ahead.
Doctor, there is no picture analysis such as Peter Rabbit
What?
and
There is no what? There is what?
picture analysis.
In the midterm, you can have picture analysis
No, not in midterm, in this novel.
in the other side of truth.
Yes.
No, you will have a passage analysis where you have a passage and you do close reading, like you have done in perhaps A330B and A330A.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hmm.
Doctor,
Any
I
other-
have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there any revision before the midterm?
Inshallah. Yes.
When?
When we finish.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. طيب يا جماعة I'll see you tomorrow إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم. Bye bye.
Thank you, doctor, for your time.
You're welcome.